When MPB is greater than MSB, this creates a welfare loss, which requires a tax in order to eliminate this. But if the government doesn't tax enough, then this happens. In this video, I'm going to be guiding you through the market failure tax diagram, explained simply. Firstly, we need to look at the concept of a negative externality, which is a product being overconsumed. As you can see in this diagram, that the marginal private benefits are greater than the marginal social benefits. This indicates an overconsumption of a good that society does not share. As you can see here, the individual values the good at PE and QE respectively. But society values the good lower at POpt and QOpt. Simply put, the equilibrium quantity and price are higher because consumers' personal valuation, which is the marginal private benefit, exceeds society's total benefit, which is the marginal social benefit, leading to an overconsumption from a social perspective. And because of this overconsumption, a welfare loss is created. This is the difference between MPB and MSB, and this is the marginal external cost. And in this example, the distance between them is the negative externality, which is the cost to society is more than its worth. And this results in the triangle here. So the welfare loss occurs because for every unit consumed beyond the socially optimum quantity, this is when marginal social cost becomes greater than the marginal social benefit. And remember, the gap between MPB and MSB is the negative externality. And although the consumer benefits enough to buy at the price of PE, society pays for it in the form of negative externalities, which is the distance between MPB and MSB for every unit consumed. As our equilibrium is at point B here, society values this consumption down here. As you can see, every unit produced after the optimum quantity, the welfare loss gets incrementally bigger. In order to eliminate the welfare loss, a tax can be applied. When a tax is applied, this shifts the supply curve to the left, from S equals MPC to S equals MSC equals MPC plus tax. Let me explain this labeling. When the private firms, which is MPC, is taxed, this will achieve the social optimum of marginal social cost. So the units produced after tax then becomes our supply. And we are basing this diagram off the assumption that the tax is equal to the marginal external cost. And due to this tax, quantity falls from QE to QOpt, and the welfare loss is then eliminated. And with regards to government revenue, the consumers will pay a price of PC and the producers will receive a price of PP, and the optimum quantity is achieved at QOpt. And similar to the other tax diagram, link in the description below, as you can see, the tax is split between the consumers and the firms. The consumers will be taxed at the top rectangle from PC to PE multiplied by QOpt, and the producers will be taxed at PE minus PP multiplied by QOpt, and the total tax revenue is the purple box. And as you can see, the welfare loss is eliminated. Now I'm going to show you if the tax does not equal the negative externality, and how does that look like diagrammatically. This is the diagram that illustrates tax equals the marginal external cost, but in the next slide, I'm going to show you when they don't tax enough. As you can see, the tax wasn't enough to fully eliminate the marginal external cost, and the welfare loss has not completely decreased. So if you look at the diagram, the consumers are only paying PC1 instead of PC, and the producers are receiving PP1 instead of receiving PP. And instead of being at the equilibrium of C, they are now only at D. Although the welfare loss has been decreased, it has not been completely eliminated. As you can see, from the small triangle here. Some people ask the question, why don't we tax the consumers instead of taxing the producers? It's just significantly administratively easier as there's less suppliers to tax compared to consumers, as there are potentially millions, if not hundreds of millions of consumers that you have to individually tax. This makes no logical sense for any government as it consumes significant amounts of resources to do this. So taxing suppliers makes more sense, as suppliers will just simply pass on the cost to the consumers. As you can see on the diagram, the result is exactly the same, with a lowering of quantity, increase in price for consumers and producers. Let's compare. As you can see in both diagrams, you can see that the lines are identical. The quantity is reduced from QE to QOpt, whilst the consumers are paying PC and the producers are receiving PP. I hope that helped. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye bye.